Okay, Memo Sanchez reporting here. The date is January 21st, and this marks the final and largest day of Sinulog in Cebu City, Philippines. So, a great time at an EDM festival last night.
Everybody fucking around.
And now we're going to go celebrate the festivities. Stay tuned.
Oh my god. Okay, we're gonna die. GoPro's coming off.
No, keep it off. It's when you should roll.
I think one of the things that will always stand out in my mind from our visit to Cebu is driving around in the crazy traffic.
Driving around in our own car was stressful enough, but actually one of the fastest ways to get around Cebu was taking a motorcycle, which we did, with the help of a local driver. We actually ended up on separate bikes because both of us could not fit on one.
Ayala, sir. Ayala Center.
It seems like when it comes to motorbikes, there really weren't any rules. It's just you kind of make up rules as you go along, so long as you don't get hit by a car. But it seems to work pretty well.
It was a little nerve-wracking being on separate motorbikes because we often got separated, but fortunately we were reunited later on.
Sinulog is one of the biggest festivals in the Philippines, and it's a celebration of Santo Niño, who is the patron saint of Cebu City. After over 3 centuries of rule, it was easy to see the influence of Spanish culture in the Philippines, including in their festivals.
The costumes were so elaborate and colorful during the parade, and the percussion instruments were so amazingly beautiful to listen to.
It was really fun as a photographer to take pictures of the parade, and the dancers and teams were fortunately very accessible, so it was easy to get a picture with them. Our Filipino wasn't that good, and their English wasn't that great either, but I think they appreciated us as much as we appreciated them. After the festival, we got back on the motorbikes and had a very exciting adventure on the ride back home. At this point in the ride, we were actually physically separated, and Jackie's motorbike driver didn't know where our Airbnb was.
It was probably one of the scariest moments of our trip so far for me.
Even though I may look cool as a cucumber in this video, I'm actually freaking out. As you can probably tell from the video, the traffic lines are really only suggestions, and the motorbike drivers seem to go over in oncoming traffic at their whim, whenever it suits them. Also, there were a ton of people walking around the streets, and it made for a very interesting ride.
Fortunately, we were reunited, and that's me in this video with the purple backpack.
After a very exciting Sinulog festival, we were ready to ship out from Cebu City and check out the rest of the island, including whale sharks, some pretty neat coral reefs, and also millions and millions of sardines. All of for which Cebu Island is very famous for. The two things that really stood out to me with the coral off of Cebu is the wide variety of both coral and sea life that we saw, including blue starfish, some radiant brain coral, and also some very territorial reef fish. The second thing that really stood out to me were the sardines.
It was so cool to swim in the cloud of sardines, and it was also neat because you could see the reflection of the sun off of the fish scales.
We were told the sardines actually migrated over from a nearby island, and since then they've only been maybe 15 to 20 meters off of the coast of Cebu Island. It's become a real tourist attraction because they're really easy to swim up to and into.
So we're swimming with like millions of sardines right now in the sardine run. It's really cool.
Our next stop was Oslo Village on the other side of the island, and this is where you can swim with whale sharks. In some regards, this is a controversial practice because it alters the feeding habits of the indigenous whale sharks. However, we learned that the amount of fish that you could feed the whale sharks is strictly regulated in order for these practices to be at least somewhat sustainable. You definitely were not allowed to touch the whale shark, but sometimes you end up right next to them because they're eating all the fish around you, and so you do end up sometimes in their path. It was a little scary at first, but you'll come to learn why they're called the gentle giants of the sea. Cebu and Sinulog ended up being one of the highlights of our trip. I'll always remember our time there, and I can say that it has really changed me because I got to see how friendly Filipinos are and how they really have this joie de vivre that I think we can all learn from.
The Philippines is a country that I was so surprised at just how wonderful the people are and the plethora of things to do there. It's definitely a place on our list that we would love to go again in the future.
Ocean View Lodging House.